He promised economic empowerment. He raised over $11 million from everyday people, and he called it the first Black-owned real estate crowdfund in history. But today, the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, once hailed as revolutionary, is at the center of investor outrage and financial controversy. What really happened to Jay Morrison's real estate empire? Why are investors demanding answers? And how did a movement meant to uplift a community leave so many people disillusioned? Jay Morrison built a powerful brand, part real estate guru, part motivational speaker, and part visionary entrepreneur. With a compelling backstory and charisma that filled stadiums, he pitched something bigger than just profits. He pitched ownership, legacy, financial freedom for Black Americans. The Tulsa Real Estate Fund, launched in 2018, was marketed as a pathway to collective wealth, bringing together thousands of investors under one vision. But 5 years later, questions loom large. Why has the fund failed to deliver on its promises? Where did the money go? And is this a case of mismanagement or something worse? Let's break down the story of Jay Morrison, the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, and the lessons it teaches about trust, transparency, and the price of broken promises. Jay Morrison's rise. Before he became the face of a multi-million-dollar fund, Jay Morrison was a story of redemption. A high school dropout and former drug dealer, he transformed his life to become a licensed realtor and motivational speaker, promising others they could rise just like he did. His charisma was undeniable. Morrison became a staple in financial literacy circles, publishing books, launching online courses, and speaking at events nationwide. He used his story as proof that generational wealth was possible, even for those starting with nothing. He positioned himself not just as a teacher, but as a movement leader. With slogans like "Own or be owned," he rallied people around the idea of self-empowerment through real estate. Social media amplified his voice, drawing hundreds of thousands of followers who saw him as both an inspiration and a guide. Jay wasn't just flipping houses. He was flipping the script on who gets to build wealth in America. And as his influence grew, so did the appetite for something bigger, something collective, a project that would pool resources from the community and return profits to it. That vision became the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. But what started with hope would soon meet serious scrutiny. Launch of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. In 2018, Jay Morrison announced the launch of something historic, the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Named in honor of Black Wall Street, the fund was marketed as the first Black-owned Regulation A+ real estate crowdfund. It was more than an investment vehicle. It was framed as a revolutionary tool for Black economic empowerment. The concept was simple but powerful. Allow everyday people, many of whom had never invested before, to pool their money and buy back the block. For as little as $500, anyone could become a partial owner in a growing portfolio of real estate projects. The fund exploded out of the gate, raising over $10 million within its first year from over 15,000 investors. Jay's powerful messaging, combined with his rags to riches narrative, made the project feel like a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Supporters flooded social media with hashtags like "Buy Back the Block" and "Own or Be Owned," celebrating their stake in something bigger than themselves. The mission was ambitious: to purchase and develop real estate across underserved communities, creating both wealth and opportunity from within. Jay promised transparency, impact, and returns, all while promoting unity and ownership. Allegations and investor backlash. As the excitement around the Tulsa Real Estate Fund faded, investors began to ask tough questions, and the answers, when they came, only raised more concerns. By 2021, murmurs turned into outrage. Many investors reported little to no communication from the fund, no clear updates on projects, and most importantly, no returns. Jay Morrison had once promised transparency, But when people began to ask for financial statements, detailed reports, and concrete timelines, they were often met with vague responses or silence. Then came the numbers. Public filings revealed that the fund had spent millions not on cash-producing properties, but on salaries, marketing, and administrative costs. In fact, records showed that more money had gone to management fees than investor returns. One 2021 filing showed the fund had only $426,000 in cash reserves after raising over $11 million. Even more controversial, Jay Morrison and his wife reportedly paid themselves nearly $800,000 combined in salaries over a 2-year span. Critics argued this was not just poor money management, it was exploitation. Some investors began comparing the fund to a glorified GoFundMe, where Morrison controlled the purse strings but wasn't held accountable. Morrison, for his part, defended himself vigorously. He posted videos claiming that the fund was a long-term investment and that people were impatient. He blamed critics for spreading misinformation and maintained that the fund was operating within legal and financial regulations. Still, the backlash was fierce. Some of the most vocal critics were those who had once believed in him the most. Black investors, in particular, felt betrayed not just financially, but emotionally. This wasn't just about money, it was about hope. They had trusted Jay Morrison to be a steward of their dreams. What they got instead, they argued, was a masterclass in mismanagement. The story of Jay Morrison and the Tulsa Real Estate Fund is a powerful lesson not just about real estate, but about trust, accountability, and the weight of leadership. At its peak, the fund captured something rare: collective belief. Everyday people, many new to investing, came together to take control of their future. But what followed showed how quickly inspiration can sour when transparency disappears. Community-led investing isn't dead, but it demands more than charisma. It requires structure, honesty, and clarity. Without those, even the most well-intentioned ideas can fall apart. If this story gave you something to think about, hit that like button and subscribe. We cover stories that matter, that challenge the hype, and that speak truth to power. And if you want to dive deeper into financial influencers and accountability, check out our next video right here. You won't want to miss it.